to other assets. Your home, do you have equity in your home? Many people get that first or second business loan using their home to help secure that. If you're a new business or a business that's only been around for a year or so and you haven't established that yet, most likely the bank will use a program such as the SBA. They'll, let's say, do a 7-year payback, and they'll ask the SBA to guarantee at 8%. There's a fee for that. Well, there's fees for everything. There's always fees. But there are ways to do that. If you're a brand new business and there's really no cash flow you can talk about, and the collateral is probably not there, the bank is probably going to suggest that you go to friends and family and try and raise it any way you can. Keep the day job for now, get an equity loan, and then come back in a year or two. And that's actually conversations I've had with people. And if it works out, come to the bank in a year or two and refinance and pay off mom and dad later on. So, yes, you can.
Okay, so good.
Yes?
Are there any special programs to encourage women-owned business or minority-owned business, or
Yes.
Or is it? I mean, federal government does offer this. So does your bank offer any special?
Well, we do work with the SBA.
Okay.
We are an approved SBA lender, a preferred lender with the SBA, which means we can approve SBA loans in-house. And yes, the SBA does have programs that does give preference to women-owned business, minority-owned business, veterans-owned businesses, so that the chances of getting that guarantee from the SBA to help the bank make the loan ratchet up stronger than if you weren't. So they do try to look to support that.
Okay.
All right, let's move to Robbie. Robbie, your organization is a nonprofit, and so you told us a little bit about what you do, but as a new business owner, I haven't ever owned a business. I don't have a clue. Where do I start? What can you do for me?
Well, and that's true of many small business owners, that if you've never done it before, you might not be aware of all of the things that you need to know to get going and be successful. So fortunately, our organization can step in and help. We have here in our chapter, we have 60 professionals from all walks of life who can sit with you as a mentor, answer basic questions, or to help you with more difficult questions, such as where do I go for financing, or is my plan viable? We'll work with you right from the get-go, and our slogan is we're there for you for the life of your business. So we have some mentors who've worked with their clients for years, and some of us work with clients who just have one quick question and we answer that and they move on. We have, as I said, professionals in all walks of life who've had years of experience, ranging from manufacturing to retailing to professional services to insurance to accounting and finance. And if we don't know the answer, we'll help you find it. The best part about SCORE is that our services are free. So you'll have no charge for your mentoring. We do charge for our workshops, which we have a schedule that tonight, just about getting started up in Concord. You could be sitting at a workshop on how to get started online with what kind of questions you ask a website developer to how do you work with social media. We have workshops all year long, and if you can't come to our workshops, you can take one of our webinars for free. They're part of our national organization. We're the local chapter of SCORE National. And there's just a wealth of information and expertise out there for you. Awesome. And this year, if you are already in business, or if you know somebody who's already in business, or you have someone in high school, this is our 50th anniversary for our chapter, and we're having a business competition. And the first prize is $6,000, I think.
Could be as high as $15,000.
Could be as high as $15,000. It's a business competition for those who are already in business. Unfortunately, not for startups. But if you have questions, we'll be here this evening, or you can find us online at merrimackvalley.score.org. And I always tell my clients, you make friends with the people who are up here. You make friends with a good insurance broker, and you make friends with a good banker and a lawyer and a commercial realtor, and above all, the people down at the other end of the table. The people in your municipalities have a wealth of information that they can share with you. We've had clients that have gone to their economic development professionals in town, whether it's someone like Wendy at the improvement team or the community development office, and gotten market analysis. The more that you know about your business and about your market, the more successful you're likely to be. And those folks are there to help you every step of the way, as are we.
Very good, thank you. So Mark, let's talk insurance. Okay, so what am I going to need as a new business? You know, I have my homeowners, I have my auto insurance, but not a clue where to start with commercial insurance. Is it more expensive typically? Do I have more things I have to insure? Kind of lead me down there a little bit.
Okay. First of all, typically when you sit down with somebody with their new business, I like to go out and actually talk about what the business is, what kind of clientele you're going to have. There's a different variable if you're going to have people coming into a retail space all the time compared to a manufacturing location where you're going to have just the same number of people being in. There's a lot of variables in there because in some cases you want to make sure that if something happens to the business, whether it's this lovely weather that we have, that you've got some kind of a backup insurance policy that if, let's say you're a little mom and pop grocery store and the power goes out and you lose $15,000 or $20,000 worth of product, that's a big hit, okay? They have insurance policies to cover those type of things. Typically what I try to explain to people is, again, depending on the business, is the best possible policy you can get is what's known as a BOP policy, which is a business owner policy. It's the most comprehensive policy that you can get compared to what they call a package policy. The difference is on a BOP policy, you're covered for absolutely everything that could happen except what is excluded in the policy itself, which means you just turn to the back of the policy, see what's back there that they exclude, and other than that, you're covered. Compared to a package policy where you have to kind of piecemeal everything together. Piecemealing everything together, you always have loopholes. So again, depending on the business, and that has a big factor difference, depending on the business, depends on whether you can qualify for a BOP. But if you as a business are looking, a lot of times somebody will come in with a package policy and be half the cost of a BOP policy. Well, that's simply because of the fact you only have half the coverage. And it doesn't take too much, a trip and fall, somebody getting sick on some food, somebody walking out with a couple things of beer that have already had way too much to drink and they hit somebody. Okay, well guess what? Even if you're a little mom and pop grocery store, you need liquor liability because you're selling liquor. And these are all the kind of things that you have to really look for. And again, that's why I typically like to go out and see what the business is and understand what they're trying to sell, basically.
Very good. So, sum it all up. These people are all your team, and it would be highly recommended that you check in with your team before you even open your doors. I think that would be really the most important thing. So why don't we open this up for, Mark? So this is Mark Bender, our town administrator here in Milford. And Mark, do you want to give us a little bit about what it's like to do business in Milford?
Well, I think it's a great town to do business in. And first off, for those of you thinking of relocating a business or opening a business in Milford, we extend a wide open welcome mat to you and encourage you to take advantage of the resources at the town. For the people on my left, your right, it's very important to have a team in place. Accountant, attorney, insurance agent, real estate agent. It might cost you a little bit up front, but it can save you an incredible amount of time and expense in the long run. And you've heard a little bit about zoning regulations and building permits and all of these other things, and it can almost dissuade you from going forward and launching an enterprise that might be hugely beneficial to you and your families. Don't be intimidated by the process. That's why we rolled this out for everybody this evening. Come in, talk to us at Town Hall. We've got an incredible amount of information. If you're looking for space, we are a good resource for available spaces around town, whether you need a storefront, a 3,000 square foot commercial facility, manufacturing facility. If you need 150,000 square feet, let me tell you, you are my newest best friend. And we should get together tonight to talk. We can help you find those spaces, and we can make the process pretty easy for you. And that's really our intent and our goal tonight is to let you know that we are open for business and that we want to help you come in, and we want you to relocate to Milford, we want you to succeed.
Awesome, great. Why don't we open up for questions then? Does anyone have questions?
You said, I mean, it's on the right side. You said we have to make friends with all of this. How do you get them donuts and coffee every morning or something?
They probably like that. I'm sure they love it.
I'm kidding. On the other side, my experience is go. Don't take me wrong. Last year I was in a similar situation. I was laid off and I was seriously considering of going into the same business I spoke to you about, commercializing my nature photography business. And it's wonderful to meet people in a conference setting so that you have this interaction and a lot of feedback. A couple of those meetings were given free to me because I was unemployed and money was hard to come by. But this year that didn't happen. I wanted to attend one of them and said, sorry, there are no funds or whatever I got. It's $25 fees per. So would you reconsider that for people like me or others for whom money is tight, but they have this urge or burning enthusiasm to become a business? Because I'm still scared of becoming a businessman, and I'm very shy of selling anything that I have. Though I have a feedback saying that, oh, your photographs are so wonderful and this and that, but I'm not. So I think SCORE is a great resource to help people like me to overcome this barrier. If you can, please reconsider that and open your, till I establish or till people like me establish, do not charge them, let them attend your conference. They can stand, they don't even have to sit and listen to all the intellectual feedback they can, the education they can get from the team.
Well, certainly.
This is a request.
Well, a couple of things. First of all, you said something very important. You said, I'm scared to death to open a business, and that's a good thing because business ownership is not for the faint of heart. It takes a lot of courage to do what you do because you put a lot of risk out there. But having said that, it is a good thing to do because small businesses, as we all know, create more jobs than big businesses, and they give back more money to all of their communities than the big guys ever did. So if you are in the business of being in business, hooray, because that's what our country needs, and that's what our communities need. But from our end, we have, again, we have the workshops and we have the webinars. Our workshops are free to veterans. And if money is an object, we will make arrangements to get you in.
That's good to hear.
We have a good list of workshops that we do, as I mentioned. We have one that is a basic one, and we're looking at starting some business roundtables for people who are maybe already in business or of all of one particular industry type. This is something that we think will be a good benefit to the people who are out there, because you know that
Great idea.
you can learn from each other and try not to reinvent too many wheels as you're at it. So look for that, but above all, consider having a mentor. Those one-on-one sessions can help. While it's great to be in a group setting and you can certainly learn from other people, and it's great networking, and we see this at every one of our workshops. At the end, we've got people who might need each other's services and be able to partner with each other, and that's really beneficial. But those mentors can help you validate your business plan, whether it's looking at your value proposition, what kinds of services or goods you're going to offer your clients, to looking at your financials to say, does this really make financial sense? Because if it doesn't, you're going to end up with a really expensive hobby. So we want to make sure that you're going to make money, because that's what you're in business for after all. So those mentors can just provide all kinds of good help, and that's absolutely free.
Thank you.
Are there other questions?
I have an easy question, but what is the, it's town water and septic in those zones, correct? For the most part? I asked because I was looking at a space in Amherst and it has water restrictions, so that's something I was.
Yeah.
So what are like, what's the deal with the water and the?
Again, the best thing to do when it comes to a piece of property is to the GIS map that they have. As you get into looking at a piece of property, we'll tell you if it's septic or if it's town water, town or sewer or what have you. Depending on your business and depending on what you're looking at doing, that does matter. Like a hair salon, a restaurant, you really want to be on sewer. You don't want to be on septic because it usually destroys the septic in a heartbeat. And they may have zoning restrictions for that anyway. So it's important to understand what kind of business you have, and then from that, what do I really need to run that business effectively and efficiently? Just because it's a commercial property doesn't mean it's the best property.
Much of the town of Milford is on the municipal water and wastewater facility. Some of the outlying areas are not. They still have wells and septics. So if you have a specific location in mind, it's very easy for us to look it up and check it for you. If you're downtown, obviously that's all on the municipal water and wastewater.
Are there questions from the?
I have a question do you have a checklist for any people who is launching a business? Say do this first, this second, third, fourth. Is there a checklist?
The town doesn't have one. I don't know, the score probably has something.
Great.
And that list might vary depending on the type of business that you're looking at. Be happy to talk to you after the meeting.
Thank you, sir.
Jason?
One of the biggest things, and over the years that I've been here, in Lincoln, it's very important that you come to us and ask the questions. This is my idea. What do you think? Our goal as a community is to drive economic incentive. We're going to help you navigate through codes and standards and zoning processes and applications, but we want you to succeed. Come and ask the questions. If you're afraid, then don't be intimidated by Tim.
I would say if you're afraid, that's why you want to have a broker. Because we're never afraid to ask the questions.
But seriously, we are not afraid as the town to sit down and discuss what your dreams are or what your ideas are, and we're going to try to drive that economic incentive, and that's based on a lot of feedback we got out of the EDAC committee over years. So come in, sit down, ask the questions. We really should be that first stop for you to let you know if it's even really feasible.
It'll save you a long time and money in the
Yes.
end, yeah.
I was gonna say, we have a relationship with certain realtors in the community as well, and brokers as well. It's not uncommon for for someone to contact my office, the fire department, and ask, are you available on an afternoon to walk a site with us? We're thinking of putting a restaurant in here. We're thinking of doing the business here. We've done that numerous times. It can be a little difficult to schedule something like that, but it is, with some flexibility, it's very easy to do, and I think it's very worthwhile, especially if you're looking at the more complex changes of use. For example, if you're looking at an old storefront and I want to put a fireworks factory in there, definitely call your fire department. But regardless of that, again, use this as a resource. We're here for you.
Tim, go on a little bit more about that. So, if you're fitting up a business, you hire somebody to do that work, a contractor, and there's inspections and permits that need to happen along the way. So as a business owner, I could get a little frustrated because my contractor who I've hired and trusted, maybe they're not quite up to par. So can you talk a little bit about how you might work with that, and jump in, Jason?
Certainly. So again, it starts with the communication. If you're alongside your contractor in those meetings, it's not uncommon to have a meeting with the contractor, and you as the business owner with the property owner are there as well. That's the best advice I can give you. Be hands-on with that, especially. It's not uncommon for a builder to get one answer and give you another. Nope, it's going to be faster without permits. Don't worry about it. I've done this before. That's the other 2% we were talking about before. But again, it's just more involvement, the better. And I'll say that from the very beginning. The more involvement you are as a business owner, the better you're going to be off. Get those answers, those questions answered from the beginning.
Did you want to add to that, Jason?
No, he covered it.
Okay, wonderful. Any other questions?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
You talked so far, I heard only where the town is involved. Where does the state come in here? How does the state involve in either starting or expanding the business, and what is their role in this whole business running aspect?
Who do you first?
How's the state involved?
Yeah.
Business development.
This is good. I think would really be for David, but go ahead, David, because I think you would better answer that.
Well, the state may or may not be involved. If you're going to register a limited liability entity like an LLC, you register that with the Secretary of State. Certain professions need to be licensed, and then you may or may not have a tax obligation that you have to pay to the state. Those are the areas that the state would really be involved. If you're going to build something in a wetlands, then you might be dealing with an agency like the Department of Environmental Services. If you're hiring employees, you might touch the Department of Labor. If you're running a restaurant, you would pay rooms and meals tax, so you'd be dealing with the Department of Revenue Administration. There's also Department of Economic Development with the state, and I think the SCORE people could tell you more about if they have any programs to offer. But those are some examples. I think starting locally is most likely the best thing for you to do if you're considering a business. You may need to deal with the state, you may not.
The first step is to have a clearance from the local level, then go on to the state.
Certainly if you have a location in mind, start there. I think that's, look for the low-hanging fruit. I mean, think about the things that could be an obstacle to your business and clear away those obstacles first. Can you run this particular business in this particular location, in this municipality? That would be one of your very first threshold questions.
Thank you.
We have lots of people that want to make comments. Okay.
And because you will have been working either with a SCORE mentor or a good local lawyer, you'll know what structure you want to have your business take. And then you'll want to register that business's name with the state. And you might want to reserve your name before you've done anything else, because if you have a very distinctive name, like, Starducks, for example, you might not be able to use that name. The state will help review whether or not there's a conflict between your name and someone else's name, so that there is no question about who's doing what. So the state does play an important role, and again, talk with your mentor, your lawyer, to see what kind of structure works best for your business, and then register with the state. One of the things that helps you do is it helps establish your credibility among your customers, and especially if you're doing some different types of businesses. They're going to want to see that you're not just, you know, some guy who opened up a shop. You have a legal structure, you have some credibility, and that's an important step. But all the same things that our lawyer friend here mentioned: the revenue, the employment security, possibly environmental services, and your real estate folks and the town will be able to tell you what else you might need in terms of environmental. Also, I'll put a plug in for your regional economic development commissions and regional economic development corporations as sources of information on market analysis and traffic, and certainly those development corporations can be another source of funding.
And chambers of commerce.
And chambers of commerce.
Just one quick comment, and thank you for bringing up the issue of registering a name. But branding, of course, is important for any business. The name is part of the branding. You don't want to spend $10,000 on all sorts of marketing materials, signs, business cards and whatnot to find that, to get a cease and desist letter from a high-powered New York or Washington lawyer saying, sorry, you're using somebody else's name.
And it happens.
And it does happen. Yes, it does.
You know, here again, contacting the town is important. We have relationships with all of the state departments, from Department of Environmental Services to Resources and Economic Development, and we can put you in contact with some of them if it's beneficial for you. So, good place to start is right here at the town.
And also, as Mark put it very nicely, our goal is to uncomplicate the process and make it as simple and fluid for you as possible as a potential business owner in our community. So we'll actually work with you and work with you to develop your own team, because that's very important. That was a very good point that people made, that your team is very important to the success of your own business and get you through get through us, which is pretty easy to do, as a matter of fact. We'll work with you through that process.
Are there any other questions?
I'm not exactly sure how to word this, but so I'm feeling a little overwhelmed. You're all like really amazing, and I'm totally under dressed. So I'm kind of thinking, well, what if I do like a cottage, and I don't remember what it's called, cottage business first, like, you know, making like breakfast scones or pastries or whatever, and, you know, just try to sort of feel out the market, figure out my, you know, all of that stuff, and then look towards transitioning to a storefront 4 or 5 years down the road. I see you nodding. Does that mean that that's like?
I've been doing that for over 10 years.
How
So I
long
can
has it been
answer
going?
all your questions.
We should be
we can
friends.
talk. Yeah, we can talk afterwards for sure.
Okay,
Definitely,
so
that they can
is
talk.
is this the thing that happens? Is that transition?
Yeah. Yep.
Okay.
Definitely.
Okay.
Often we see as home occupations are the first starting point for many small business owners.
Mhm.
Over time, we hope that they grow and get bigger and get more successful.
Right.
After which they then look for additional space in the community and to expand. And so I'm here to work with the process. It's pretty easy to get through the process for yourself, your own business.
That is a pretty popular home cottage industry, and there are even businesses sprouting up to support that. I think in Keene, there is a commercial kitchen where you can go in and just rent space by the hour, by the day. I'm not sure exactly how it works, but you go in and you have access to a complete commercial kitchen setup. It's pretty cool. It's like a make it lab for bakers.
Right.
Personally, I like scones. Cinnamon.
One thing, and I would strongly suggest this, and I always encourage people, your region, let's say you start to grow. You never want to grow and say, okay, I'm going to take 2,500 square feet. My suggestion for people is always grow take your business and put it into a smaller location than what you think. I would rather tell people, no, I'm sorry, I'm full, than to have vacant space inside my space. So it's always better to find yourself really at capacity and grow from at capacity and not try to build it to get to that. So again, it's really important that, anybody's looking at your business, depending on what your business is, it's better to have like 4 tables than have 8 tables, and have 4 tables very, very busy, always busy, than have 6 tables that are busy and 2 are vacant. So that would be my suggestion. Yeah.
I would add to that, there's some organizations here in the state, like New Hampshire Made, you can go online, and they very much support and help small cottage businesses like you're thinking of to grow and get started. And come into your Chamber of Commerce as well, and we can point you to some of those. So I think we're done for this evening, but our pros here are happy to hang around for a few minutes if you want to talk to them one-on-one. And thank you all, panel, for coming. This was amazing. Thank you, everyone, for coming.